How much of your identity is tied to basketball, Devo?
Oh, that's a good question.
Meet Devoe Joseph, a Toronto basketball legend who made waves on and off the court. Before he was a 13-year pro, he was a star at Pickering High, leading his team to consecutive provincial championships and earning the prestigious title of Canadian High School Player of the Year 3 years running, an accomplishment that solidified his legacy as one of the greatest to ever grace the Canadian high school stage.
Are you happy with your career?
Yeah. I mean,
What was the hesitation?
of course I want to perform to my best ability, but I can't feel that pressure because you put that pressure on yourself,
For
in
sure.
a sense.
Drake, his last album, For All the Dogs, you get a name drop. How'd that make you feel? Remember you in high school, everyone was like, Devoe's going to the league, Devoe's going to the league. You didn't. Your younger brother does. Seeing him live your dream, did you ever say to yourself, I wish I could be living that too? Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of You Only Die Twice. I'm your host, Warren Ward, and in this episode, I'm joined by none other than the legend himself, Devoe Joseph. Devoe is a Canadian and Toronto three-time high school basketball player of the year. He then went on to University of Minnesota and finished his prolific college career at the University of Oregon. He then went on to a 13-year professional career. We're going to dive into all of that in this episode. But before we get started, the best way to support this podcast, which costs you nothing to do, by the way, is to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share with a friend. It really helps the podcast. And without further ado, let's get into it.
When this is gone, I die.
I guess what I wanted to start with you is, besides me asking you to be here, which I've done, and we've been working on this for a while, why is this topic important to you in terms of like athlete transition?
I mean, it's important just because I'm going through it in a sense. I'm not directly right now. I'm not fully retired, but I'm coming to that age where I know things are happening now. I have to think more and more about what's next.
Okay.
And as you get closer to that, you realize how important it is to have those thoughts from the beginning of your career and things like that. So for me, I think it's important not only for me to talk about it, but for everyone to talk about it, so athletes are prepared for this moment and ready to make the right decisions and to be ready for the moment when the transition happens.
And have you been preparing throughout your entire career, or is it now hitting you where it's like you got to face that now?
I'll be honest with you, I was never like the kind of person growing up with like have a plan B. You know, like I had guys in college who were going to school and thinking about after I play basketball, I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be that. I just always thought, I'm going to be a ball player.
Same.
Like, you know, like, there was no like real plan B, but like as I got older and as I started, you know, I got more interest, these different kind of things, more ideas other than just shooting the basketball. And yeah, I started getting more into thinking about what I'm going to do next.
What are your interests?
I mean, basketball. I like real estate and like houses and like architects and stuff like that. Like just things like that. And yeah, I mean, it's a wide range, music, this and that. But as far as business stuff, I'm really into like the real estate stuff and like just like basketball stuff.
Okay. So I guess that's what you're going to be doing when you do decide to retire, whenever that is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan as of right now, yeah.
Okay.
Try to stay within basketball, especially at first, because I want to at least, like, you know, give back to the kids or something, just, you know, while I'm still kind of young, and then hopefully transition into doing all different things.
Okay. What would you describe your basketball journey as thus far?
Oh, man. Basketball journey. It's been a huge roller coaster, I should say, like, you know. It's been a huge ride. It's kind of just like life. It's been filled with huge ups and downs. There's been times where, you know, you're at your happiest point, and there's times where, you know, you can be depressed and sad with what's going on in your basketball career or just everything that's going on. Yeah. Whether you're breaking my hand and being injured and out for a year or whatever it is, you know, like not playing as much, but it's definitely been filled with ups and downs. From
high school to you playing pro and being, how long, like you played how long now?
13 years.
13 seasons overseas mostly. We talk about the ups and downs. How are you able to deal with those things? And how do you think dealing with all that prepares you for what you're going to face later on in life?
I mean, the thing about ups and downs in life is like after you've gone through so many, like the downs don't affect you as much and the ups don't affect you as much. You
Kinda
know,
stay
like
even keel.
You kind of stay even keel because you know you go down, you know that you've been here before, and you bounce back. So you kind of like have that faith that no, everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I just gotta keep my head down, keep working. Things are gonna come back around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now as you get older, you realize in your high moments, enjoy it because they don't always last forever.
No, they never do.
Yeah, you know, like so they never.
They never.
Yeah,
do.
they never
The
last
the
forever.
downs always
so.
seem a lot longer than the the good
exactly.
moments. Absolutely.
Exactly.
You come from an athletic family as well. You know, talk about your influence with your sister and, of course, you know, your younger brother and your dad. I feel like your dad coached me and never did, but every time he talks to me, it's almost as if he was, you know, my coach.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I came from a basketball family. My dad and mom both played basketball. They met playing basketball in college out west in Calgary. So, I mean, like, everything in my household you can imagine was, like, kind of competitive, basketball, just, who's the fastest to the car? Who's this? Like, you know, it's just always about competing and just.
Is it still like that?
I mean, it's an environment of, like, competition and this and that. We're pretty.
Who is the fastest to the car?
Me. Of course, you know, I'm usually winning everything.
Okay.
But, no, we just grew up in that environment, like, athletic family. My mom loves basketball. Dad is like, you know, my dad, he's crazy about basketball.
To this day.
You know, and he's kind of been always who we were, you know. It's kind of been, we go to basketball tournaments all together as a family and athletic stuff, and that's kind of who we are.
Has your family talked to you about this process, about, you know, like the next step? I mean, you and your brother, even your sisters, have they influenced you? Because for me personally, like, my sisters helped me when I was going through that, you know?
No, for sure. We talk about these things like together all the time. Like, I think it's things that we want to even do together. Like, as far as even like me and my brother, like, we're both getting older, so we know like both our times are kind of coming in a sense.
Yeah.
So like there's things that we have these conversations with me and him, with me, my sisters, my mom, everybody, like on things that we want to do as a family during this transition time.
Yeah.
So my family is very close like that as far as having these conversations and even including each other on things that we're doing, you know?
Yeah. It's very important to have that support system. You know, I think not everyone is that lucky, and if you have to go through this type of thing on your own, it can be very daunting. So having that is obviously, you know, an added bonus. What do you think you'll do to help Corey?
I mean, Corey is a very smart guy, and I feel like he's been setting himself up to be prepared for this for a long time. You know, he's had the information, the knowledge to be prepared and set himself up for this. So, I mean, I'm just going to give him my support, and, I mean, we'll see who retires first. So maybe I might have a little head start, you know, but who knows? We'll see who retires first, but at the end of the day, like, I'm going to be there for him in the transition and to support him with whatever he wants to do.
Right. Of course. Like, so you said you've been playing 13 years. What was your favorite place to play?
Oh, man. To play, I would have to say Barcelona. I played in Badalona, actually.
I know Badalona.
Juventud Badalona.
Yep.
I mean, we lived in Barcelona. The ACB was a great league. We had a good team. I mean, that might have been my favorite place altogether.
Okay, so favorite place to live?
Yeah, that's Barcelona.
Barcelona?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite memory you have?
Playing professionally?
Yep.
Favorite memory? It would have to be winning the championship in Kosovo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like a crazy championship. One of like the craziest things I've won, because we won it on the road against like the craziest fans in the world.
Oh yeah.
It was like,
What'd they do?
The most hostile environment that you could think of.
Like spitting on you and stuff?
Yeah, in all of Europe, probably the most hostile environment in all of Europe. Like throwing things, spitting at you, lasers in the eyes, shaking the net. Like it's just like
calling you all type of names.
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah. Like names, everything is like, it's just a crazy environment. But like for the final series, it made for like great memories at the same time, you know?
Right. And you're a guard, so like I remember myself playing over there. Sometimes, like as a guard, you run to the corners, and that's the closest to where a fan is. So I've heard all types of shit in my ear. So give me an example of some crazy stuff a fan has said to you.
Oh, I mean, you've heard everything. You've been. I honestly, I ignore the things they say now. Like I don't even really hear it anymore because just like it's whatever. But you've been called monkey. You've been called all kind of racist names. You've been called like literally anything you can think of. You know, like as far as names, like in Kosovo, for example, they have this chant, and they don't just do this to Americans. They do this to everybody on the other team. But they'll play music. et cetera, et cetera. And then at a certain point, the music would cut off, and everyone would just curse a player. Or they'll call like a certain player's mom a bad word. I'm not gonna say this bad word on this podcast. I don't know if there's an age limit on this podcast.
You can say whatever you want.
But yeah, they start like, that's how like vulgar and crazy they are over there. Like, you know.
Oh, that's kind of creative though.
It's the whole arena.
Yeah, that's creative.
Like,
I like that.
I had little kids. I'm on the sideline.
I don't like that, but yeah.
I'm on the sideline stretching. Like, you know, I have little kids come up, walk off the sideline from their parents, come up to me, give me both middle fingers, and start cussing me out. I'm talking about 5-year-olds, like 6-year-olds.
That's dope.
Like, you know, like that's just the culture over there. It's just a very like crazy,
you gotta love that,
passionate basketball culture.
Yeah. One of the things that I think will help like for me now in my life is like, I feel like there's like daily pressure. So how are you able to deal with the pressure to perform? Because a 13-year pro, that's not easy. You have to perform or else you're getting sent back home. There's a million of us overseas, right? Like if they take you from Canada or the States, you got to be twice as good as those players. So how do you think dealing with the pressure to perform will help you, you know, in your day-to-day life now?
To be honest, for a long part of my life, I felt those pressures, and those pressures can stress you out a big time.
Especially when you're good.
Yeah, like, you know, the higher level you get to, you think it gets easier.
Nah.
Like, no, the more, the better you're doing, it's like the more stress and the more pressure you could feel. And for me, it was like a certain point in my life, maybe it was reaching a low point and coming back from that or et cetera. But like a certain point in my life, I came to the point, I gotta just let go and let God, for example, have faith. You know, like, you can't control everything in life. You can go out there and just control how hard you're gonna try, what you're gonna do, but not everything's gonna work out perfectly. And you just have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with just giving your best and letting things happen naturally, kind of. And I kind of came to that conclusion, like, yes, I know. Of course I want to perform to my best ability. I want to do these things, but I can't feel that pressure because, of course, I'm gonna try. You know, it's like you put that pressure on yourself, for sure. In a sense.
You ever been threatened by a team?
I mean, teams. I mean, as far as what kind of threats, like, sure, like, oh yeah, we're not gonna pay you if you do this, or we're not gonna do this if you do that. Oh yeah, you get those threats all the time.
And if you don't perform up to this part, like up to this standard, you're gone.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not directly. Maybe our team hasn't told me that directly, but I've got my agent hit me like, hey, like, this is the time. Like, you better do something this game, because if not, like, you might be out of there next day.
And so to me, that's important because you don't really get that in like a normal day job. Like if you don't perform at work, for me, for example, like my boss isn't going to say that right away. But in basketball, that's a reality. Yeah. And I feel like that, if you can deal with that, you can deal with anything in like a workforce or
for sure.
like you creating your own business. You'll be able to deal with that because you've dealt with that pressure before. Like your agent being like, yo, like this is the game.
Exactly.
It's not really that's not really happening in a day-to-day, you know what I mean? Like a day-to-day situation. So I think that integral part is how you can, like, you're able to now deal with everything else in your life. Is that correct?
No, I agree 100%. Like, I think basketball prepares you for life in a lot of different ways, as far as especially like work ethic, and not only that, like you said, just being prepared. In most jobs, you have the security of
somewhat.
Yeah, a lot of jobs, they have a lot more security than basketball players, 100%. For example. Like, you know?
Yeah.
And that non-security brings you to your job and lets you know, like, oh, I have to perform every single day. Like you said, like, you know, you have the pressure of, if you don't perform, your job can be gone. So it's different than going to the office.
Exactly.
And those other jobs, for sure.
How much of your identity is tied to basketball, Devo?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I never really thought of it, like, but I would say a lot, I guess. I mean, my life kind of revolves around basketball a lot, so
I know.
I would say a lot of my identity, but at the same time, I still have a lot of myself has nothing to do with basketball.
Elaborate. Who are you without basketball?
I mean, I love to do little things like draw sometimes. I love just doing little activities. Sometimes I might go into the booth and spit a freestyle.
You can rap?
Nah, I can't rap. Well, I just told you I might do that. You know?
Okay. I was going to say, you want to spit a hot 16? You got the mic in front of you.
I don't got that. Maybe in my next life. Maybe the next time after this death, maybe the next one I'll rap, you know?
Okay. So you said there's a lot more to you. So what else do you want to be known for if not basketball? Because if I Google your name, it's all hoops.
I mean, for me, the most important thing is like, I'm sure maybe in the grand scheme of things, I'll be known for basketball.
100%. Yeah.
To the grand population, the big population. But for me, what I want to be known for is the people that matter to me most, the people that I love, the people that know me. I want to be known as that caring person that's always been there, that a loving person. I want to be known as just a good person. That's the most important thing to me in this world.
I like
the
that.
kind of person, the kind of man you are, you know?
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
when my kids grow up, they can be like, okay, this is the way to operate. This is the way to be like.
This is the example.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you feel as though you have maximized your talent and potential as an athlete?
No,
Really?
no. I mean, I can never feel that way because no matter how hard I worked, I've always feel like you can work harder.
Okay.
And I can always look at things like, I'm hard on myself, so I can look at things like, okay, maybe I didn't do this enough. Maybe I wasn't up at 4 a.m.
Do you think
know,
that
do
matters?
extra-
Do you think waking up at 4 a.m. dictates the success that you were maybe looking for?
I mean, there's all different ways, but I think the more you discipline yourself and the more you sacrifice, the more you'll get out of something. And for me, I disciplined myself a lot of times when my friends were younger and they were going out and playing or going to parties, even in high school times. A lot of friends, they were going to basement parties. I didn't go to those.
Right.
I was in the gym. I was doing extra work, you know? Like I was just focused on basketball, and that time period set me up for a lot of success.
Right.
You know, at a certain point in college, I was partying a little bit more, maybe, you know? So, I mean.
Maybe. Be honest.
You know
Of
how it
course.
goes,
Yeah,
but,
I
so
do.
So when you
I
ask
do.
that question, I think everybody can always look back and say they could have did a little bit more, you know?
Yeah. Or maybe a little less. I mean, sometimes less is
Yeah.
more, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you in high school, from my vantage point, could say that you could have done more because you were better than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I have this thought about hard work where hard work without an outcome is work. It's not granted for, but I think the outcome is what people are looking for from hard work, because hard work is subjective.
Yeah.
Like you being up at 4 a.m. would not mean that you would have not gone D1 or gone D1. Me waking up at 4 a.m. may not have related to that either. Or, excuse me, like it would not have got to me like the result that I'm looking for. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you would have been justified with that, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I get what you're saying. Like for me, when I like get credit for being a great shooter, for example, like, and everyone's like, oh, he shot the ball so well in high school, this and that. I know that's not a miracle.
hell no.
I know that when I was in grade 4, for example, my dad changed my shot. I went outside, took my brother outside, and took 500 shots every single day.
You're right.
When other kids weren't doing that, right?
Yeah.
So like when they looked at me like, oh, you could shoot the ball so well, I knew, yeah, because
Hours.
yeah, exactly, the time I put into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't no miracle. It wasn't because my dad and mom played basketball. Well, yeah, maybe they influenced me to do it more.
Yeah.
But I still put in the work. My brother still put in the work.
Yeah.
And that's what it came down to.
Do you think as a professional then, like, the money you make validates your hard work?
No, for sure. Not only the money, but like the lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, 12, 13 years now, I haven't had to work a real job. I got to play basketball, something I love to do.
Yeah.
Which is fun to do, and travel the world doing it. So
Do you think it then validates you making the right decision? Because I think when you put your life into something, a sport, anything, any sort of creative discipline, you making money, you being able to create a life from it, validates and says to you, I made the right choice by, you know what I mean? Like, I put my life into this. So making money essentially validates that. Is that true?
I mean, I think that's up to you as a person.
Okay.
That depends on how much money means to you, you know?
Fair.
I mean, I think it's valid enough if you love something to do it. You live once or twice, whatever we want to say on this podcast. But
I like that.
you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, like at the end of the day, like if it's valid to you, do it. Why not? You got to live your life to the fullest.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think for me, in my opinion, you're the best high school basketball player to come out of this area from our age. You know, I know there's some other older guys that would say otherwise, but for me, watching, you set a standard for, especially shooting guards. But remember, you in high school, everyone was like, Devoe's going to the league, Devoe's going to the league. You didn't. Your younger brother does. How do you feel about that? Obviously, you're happy that he made it. But seeing him live your dream, did you ever say to yourself, I wish I could be living that too? Or that should also be me?
You know, like, I never really looked at it like that, like in a sense, like that should be me because of him.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I watch the NBA, I'm like, that should be me because
you better.
because,
absolutely.
I feel like I could hoop. Just 'cause I feel like, you know what I mean? I could be there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I never really had that outlook on it. I've always kind of just looked at it as how blessed I am.
Yes.
And how blessed my brother is in a sense, because I got to go through a lot of the challenges first to help him succeed and be prepared to go where he got to.
Yeah. Like what challenges did you face?
Well, even as far as like choosing a university, like when I chose a school, I didn't really know too much about the NCAA and all the different schools and alumni and these different things.
And it was so hard back then.
Yeah, and we didn't really know too much about it, like, you know? We only even watched college games probably March Madness time.
That's it.
We weren't getting college ball all year round. We didn't know the different schools and conferences and how, like, you know, they all worked and who was sending NBA players, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, I didn't really have the full knowledge, and I feel like he was more set up to succeed in that sense, even because from going to high school in the States to then, you know, choosing Texas and these things. And
didn't he go to Finley Prep?
Finley Prep,
yeah. Finley Prep, right.
And for me, it's never been a jealousy thing. It's kind of something that
I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
Well, not even that. It's not even like a jealousy or look at I should have what he has or I should, you know what I mean? It's more so I've always just been happy that, like, yo, when he made it, I feel like we made it.
100%.
In a sense, you know, like, and that's always been, as much as it was a dream, like, when it happened, it's like surreal in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
It was not today where all these guys from Toronto are going NBA.
Yeah.
This was when, like, it was still hard to happen. Yeah. Corey and Tristan were some of the first guys in a while. You know what I mean? Like, our times, it wasn't really happening so much as we thought it could happen. The goal for us was, like, to go D1.
Exactly.
It's like you went to D1, you made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Like, it was hard to go D1 back in the day. So you get a D1 offer, you're like, you're the guy out here.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And it's a big reason why I wanted to sit down with you, because, like, one of the things I got to do, I got to go on YouTube and I got to watch a lot of your clips. And when one of the clips in particular I watched, you said, being a Canadian baller, it's harder. The Americans don't get to see you as much. If you don't go down south, and they probably won't get to see you at all. It's hard to recognize your name. They don't plan on coming up to Canada unless they've already seen you. And when the first part of that clip, when you said your name, you had like a smug look on. You're like Devoe Joseph. You were like that, and I could just see the chip on your shoulder, because I think from, like I said, 89, 88, those days, you have to be twice as good to get the same small opportunity. Like, if you played today, you know, hypothetical, but you would have been going to Kentucky or Duke or one of those bigger schools. You wouldn't have gone to maybe Minnesota. And even to get to Minnesota at that time was extremely hard. Like, no one did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So seeing you back then, 11, 12 years ago, seeing the way you spoke and the chip on your shoulder, I think that is to me, it represents what we had to experience. And it's like, if you didn't put everything into basketball, you wouldn't even get that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even have that opportunity. I remember, bro, it was 24/7. That's all you were doing in high school. I remember those parties, same thing. I was on my driveway putting up shots because I was trying to get to your level. Yeah. Hooptown GTA, I'm over there watching Devo 40, 35. I'm like, who the fuck, why is this guy doing this every night, you know? Yeah. I remember those days. So it's interesting, like, go back and watch the video. You'll see the way you say your name.
Yeah.
You say it with, like, I have something to prove. You still have that attitude?
I mean, it's probably changed, but for sure. I mean, if you like in our era, you know, going to the States, they didn't know who any of us were.
Never. And
they didn't even respect us. They were like, "You're from where? Canada, Toronto?
You got igloos up there?" I remember, like, 5 stars. What they said.
This is pre-Drake even. Yeah. They didn't. Where's they're looking at us like, "Where's Toronto?"
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even know where Toronto was sometimes. You know, like, so this is a different era for sure. So you had to go with that mentality, like, I'm coming in here like, y'all don't know me, or you're gonna find out kind of mentality.
Right.
You don't know about Toronto, you're gonna find out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of mentality you had to come with, because We weren't just walking on the court and getting a certain amount of respect like some of these kids get now because of what the guys from Toronto have done in the past.
Because of what you used to
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I was mentally at that point.
And speaking of Aubrey, Drake, his last album, For All the Dogs, you get a name drop. How'd that feel? I mean, I remember I was like, like he said that like watching Tristan. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I remember watching Tristan and Devoe. I remember that. Yeah. How'd that make you feel?
I mean, you know, like it's kind of, sometimes life is a little surreal. Like you don't really, you have to sit back and just kind of grasp things. Like Drake is the greatest artist of all time, probably like the greatest artist from Toronto, Canada history,
Without question.
Without question. And to get to be in a song that's gonna live forever, sometimes it goes over my head, but obviously it was a surreal feeling. Like everyone's messaging me like, yo, wow, you're in a Drake song.
Yeah.
Listen, I probably played the track maybe 5,000 times.
Of course, I would too,
when it
bro.
first came out, like, you know, I just
yeah.
had it on repeat for like probably like a whole month.
And it's a banger.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a banger, you know? So I mean, it feels great to get that recognition from like the world's biggest superstar, you know, a legend.
Yeah.
And someone like of that standard, like, you know, it feels great. It's an amazing feeling. I can't complain, like, you know?
I mean, I remember listening to it and I was like, Drake would do that. Like Drake will find a small nugget or some piece of information that not many people would know about, but the people who know about the people that like he's discussing would know. Yeah. And he puts it in a song. And I'm like, that's dope. Like he's giving you a big shout out and people are like, who's Devoe? Like you gotta go and again, you gotta go and Google that. And now it's giving you a chance to get some spotlight, you know, which is like, he didn't say anyone else's name. He said your name for a reason, you know?
No, for sure. I mean, Drake's someone who's always showed me love, even from high school time. You know what I mean? He's always been a real one, and every time I see him, he'd hail me up or whatever, and he's always actually shown me love for my basketball game and supporting my basketball stuff, even from high school times, coming to all-star games and hanging out with Boy Wonder, coming all the way down to Pickering to watch games, like he said. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I just appreciate that support, and it's even bigger now that he's the biggest rap star in the world, you know?
Mm-hmm. What would you say to Devoe now that had the chip on his shoulder in the YouTube clip?
What would I say to that Devoe? The one
what
with
would
the
you
chip on
say
his
to
shoulder?
that Devoe? Yeah.
I would just tell him just to keep going, keep that chip on your shoulder, and don't lose it. You know, like it's hard sometimes to not lose that chip, because you can have different. I'm sure you know you can have different coaches who maybe try to knock that chip off your shoulder, try to bring you down a little bit. You know, maybe it's not playing you or this or that, whatever it is. You can have different systems that maybe try to knock that chip off your shoulder, different situations. So like just to keep it, no matter what happens, no matter what you're going through, always keep that chip on your shoulder, always keep that hunger and that attitude.
From that YouTube video to now, are you happy with the way things turned out? Are you happy with your career?
Yeah. I mean,
what was the hesitation?
Cause like, did my career go perfect? Was it all petals and roses? No.
Never is.
You know, but like, I'm super happy with things as far as my perseverance. You know, breaking my hand, wanted to be done at one point. You know, my money going down.
Yep.
You know, going from playing at a really high level to a lower level, like wanted to quit.
Been there.
And then still now when I look back, I'm still here 5-6 more years later, like, you know, still playing.
Why didn't you quit?
You know, honestly, it was actually when I came back home and I was working with my dad's and my brother's program, the Team Joseph training, and I was working with the kids and just in the gym, working with the kids. That atmosphere kind of just made me realize it's more than just all the things that you're thinking about, the money, the this, the that, all the different things that go into it when you're a pro. Mm-hmm. Like, why'd I start playing this game? Because I love it.
Exactly.
It's about, you know what I mean? Like, am I going to stop now after playing for 25, 30 years? Now I'm going to stop right at the end because something went wrong, you know what I'm saying? Or something isn't exactly how I want it to be? No, I love the game. That's what brought me back to it.
You think when you're done, what do you think you're going to miss the most?
For me, I know what it is. It's the team atmosphere.
Oh yeah?
Like just being a part of that team, like traveling with the guys, like, you know, just in the locker room hanging out, you know, just that team atmosphere. It's hard to replace that. Like, you know? Yeah, I feel like every time you're on a team, it's like a brotherhood. You meet new brothers, you get close with, and
Group chat is popping for the season too.
Yeah, you know, and just especially when you have that good atmosphere where it's fun and this and that, it's a lot different than you go to a job and you just, you know, you see your colleagues. I feel like sometimes that team atmosphere is like that brotherhood where you know you're down to ride for your brother. Like it's go time.
What are you gonna miss the least?
The least. Probably some coach screaming at me, telling me what to do.
Relatable,
You know?
Yeah, probably.
You know, sometimes that's not the best part of it.
One of the things I wanted to ask you too is like I remember after I tore my Achilles was probably the moment I realized like shit, bro, I ain't gonna be doing this forever. I'm not gonna be doing this too much longer. Did you ever have a moment when it kind of hit you that like, as much as I love this, I'm not gonna do it forever. Like I know when you're in it, you don't think about that. But when something happens or you get to a moment, so what was your moment where you realized like I'm not gonna do this forever?
Honestly, for me, the only thing that's stopping me is like my kids. So like traveling is hard to be away from them that long.
Yeah.
But like my body and everything in my game, I feel like I could do this forever.
Said like a true basketball player.
You know, keep it.
Well, you can't.
You know what I mean? No, I think I could probably do this forever. To be honest with you, like you know, like yeah, but it's for me it's just mentally. But I think 40 plus, my body's feeling great. Like I think I have that Benjamin Button disease. I think I'm starting to feel better and younger as I get older. You know, like
Benjamin Button disease.
I'm starting to get faster, jump higher.
Devoe, I love you, bro. But that is not true.
Yo, okay, come check me out in the gym
Come
check me out, man. Come check me out. Come check me out.
Faster, I feel you.
Yeah. Speeding up.
Okay. I mean, and when you were in those maybe good moments, dark moments, what were I remember for me personally like the drives to and from the arenas, like the time I would spend by myself. When you were having those ups and down moments, what were the drives like for you?
Like those drives
to and from the arena, to and from practice. Like I remember when I was going through stuff, whether I was thinking about my career or whatever the case was, I would always think about it while I'm driving to and from practice or to and from a game. Did you do that as well, or is it just me?
No, for sure. Like you're on the bus and stuff like that. I'm a big time thinker, you know, like I overthink. I'll be in my head about some stuff, especially like if I'm going through something.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going through something, I'll be there on the bus thinking about it. It's a bad game or whatever it is. After the game, I'm just there in my head, you know?
And what are you thinking about?
Like it could be, my mind can just be going crazy on everything. It could be thinking, it could be one moment, oh, why'd I miss that shot? Mm-hmm. Or dang, these guys might get rid of me next week. Like, you know, it could fly around all over the place.
You think you'll ever get rid of that?
No, not really. I think that's kind of part of my identity.
Same.
Just thinking a lot, you know, and just processing things.
I do it with this.
Yeah, you start thinking about the whole
questions or things I could have asked or ways, I could have said something better. Yeah. I'm sure I'll get some feedback when this is done. Yeah. So, I think about that quite often, and it hasn't left me. Yeah. Even from basketball, it has not left me. So for me, those drives were always times when I would be thinking about what could be done, what I need to continue doing. And I just find it funny that it is translated into like my life now. Nothing to do with sports. That's why I asked the question.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I could see how it could do that. I feel like for me, it's not just a sports thing. It's kind of everything.
It's a life thing.
Yeah, it's a life thing. Yeah.
What do you think your biggest skill or mindset would be from basketball that you're going to apply to your life?
Biggest skill. I think working with other people, probably. Yeah, working with other people. I think basketball, it teaches you a lot. Like, one, it teaches you how to be like an employee because you have a head coach who's telling you, run, do this, sometimes shut up, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? To be honest, so like
facts.
You have to learn like to humble yourself in a sense and listen to somebody. Then you have to also learn to work with other people.
And be a leader if you're the best player.
Yep. And you know how it goes on basketball teams. You have 12 guys, 12 different personalities. Sometimes you have to be able to, be versatile in, okay, I can relate with this guy on this thing, work with this guy on this thing, but still, have relationships with everybody. And I think it kind of helped me as far as dealing with people and relationships.
You think you've mastered that?
Mastered, maybe not, but it's definitely made me a skill. It's definitely a skill I've attained through being on teams and basketball.
Speaking of teams, your most recent team was the Scarborough Shooting Stars, where I got to watch you play. That's how I know you ain't getting faster.
That was a long season, man. That was a long season.
I know. But watching you play there, very nostalgic. It was really cool. I see your wife always says hi. Your kid is dancing at halftime. Like, that's the first time you got to play in front of your family?
Yeah, no, first time playing in Canada in like how many years? It was honestly an amazing experience.
Yeah.
You know, it was amazing being right there in Scarborough. You know, I was so appreciative of the opportunity from Nico and these guys, and it was just a great, my grandma again to come see me.
Yeah,
it's just
amazing.
little things that like I appreciate a lot, and I appreciate even more, I think, when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about what your plans are in retirement whenever that day does come. You talked about opening up gyms. So what are your plans? What do you plan on doing?
Well, right now, me and my brother are actually going to open up a few gyms across the GTA.
Okay.
We're working with a franchise called Shoot 360. It's like the world's leading, most innovative basketball training facility. It's all based off like technology.
You
and
sound like an
training.
infomercial right now.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's gonna be super dope, man. So we're gonna put these gyms up and start working with kids and training kids, and that's the plan for right now, just to give back to the community and try to help the younger generation excel.
You think in terms of a concrete plan, because I talked about that, my episode where I talked about having a concrete plan. Do you have one of those, or is it just you're gonna go with the flow and kind of take things as they come your way?
As far as moving forward?
Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, I'm looking to still play, but these gyms should be getting built in 2025.
Okay.
So I mean, I plan to be training out of those gyms and
Training kids.
Yeah, training kids and just be there helping and giving back to the community.
You plan on being a coach?
Maybe one day. Maybe
Okay.
one day.
High school, university?
Yeah, maybe one day. Right now, I'm gonna focus on probably like just the development aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to work with kids from all ages, even not even just kids, even professionals. I want to work with other pros. I just want to have a space for guys to really come work and get better.
That's what's up. Well, to conclude, two things. We play a game at the end of each episode. You get to answer each one of these questions with a single word or in one sentence. Okay?
Okay.
It is called for three, your specialty. So
All right.
Are you ready to play?
I answer the question, single word?
Single word or one sentence?
No problem. Let's
Okay,
do it.
question number one. You got to finish the sentence. I realized life was more than basketball when?
I had my first son.
Okay. Question number two. Devoe Joseph without basketball is?
Devoe Joseph without basketball is?
Yeah.
That's the question?
Finish the sentence.
A smart, attractive, caring, loving
I said one word, bro.
human being. Sentence.
Fair.
Sentence.
Yeah, I did. Well, you got to put attractive in there. That's hilarious.
That's a hard question. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's
Okay.
a hard question. Basketball's a big part of my identity. So who am I without basketball? When I think about it, it's hard to describe because I'm a person, yes.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
But you're still figuring that out.
It's like everybody else, but like basketball is a lot of my identity, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people identify me as a basketball player.
Absolutely.
So to me, who am I? I'm still me. To everyone else, without the other basketball player, I might be a nobody.
Hey, it's a good point. But a nobody that's going to figure out how to be somebody to everybody else.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
A nobody who's attractive, caring, loving. I'm just joking.
I'm done. Describe your journey in one word thus far.
My journey. I like the word persevered. I like the going through challenges and coming and still going through hard times and still coming out on top.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that concludes that. But I got something to say before we wrap up. Like I said, I remember I moved here when I was 12 years old. Started playing basketball seriously, and I remember going on Hooptown GTA. I remember hearing your name, and I remember saying to myself, like, nah, this guy is the standard. He is the epitome of what it means to be a great high school basketball player. I remember 2008, you're playing Eastern Commerce, you get the inbound, you pass it back to the point guard, you go in the corner, you sprint to the ball, you get the ball, take a dribble, right to left crossover, right from the top of the key in York University, and you end your career with a game winner. No one else can say that. And I remember that play vividly in my head. So I don't think I would have had the same perspective and the same work ethic and drive if I didn't get to see people like you hoop. And I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of other people who watched you play, who know about your brother and your game and your family. And I want you to know that none of what you've done has gone unnoticed. You didn't quote unquote make it, but the making it is subjective. So in my opinion and the opinion maybe of other people, like I said, I feel like I'm speaking for right now, especially like my friend group, you did, because you helped us think that we could do what you were doing, including myself. I would have never wanted to go D1 if I probably didn't, watch you play. So I wanted to tell you that, and I think you've had an amazing career, and it's not done yet. So congratulations.
I appreciate that a lot, man.
No doubt.
And honestly, you're one hell of a basketball player. So
Thank you, man. I appreciate
and you
that.
saying that, it means a lot to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.